Hey everybody, it's Ken Davenport. Welcome back to the Producer's Perspective Live, except we're not live. Yes, I'm going to be honest with you. This is a recorded episode, but hey, when a star like Lea Salonga says, yeah, I'll be on your live stream, and she's like 142 hours away, you agree to figure it out however you can. So she is up next, star Miss Saigon, of course, my Once on This Island allegiance, Les Mis, live, but on tape. From the Philippines, it's Lea Salonga up next. Hi, everybody. We are not live from my office in Times Square. I've even switched locations for today. I'm trying to get a little back into action. So I'm here in the middle of Times Square, which is starting to show some signs of life, everybody. So if you want to come around, just do it safely. But I'm starting to say, as I just put out on my Instagram this morning, it's time, I think, for us to start taking safe steps to restore some of our routines. And this is mine. And I'm thrilled today to have Lea on as my guest as I start to trudge back into my office. We are not live. I'm just going to say that again. We are not live, and you'll hear why. We'll figure out exactly what time it is, where Lea is. But before we bring her on, I want to remind everyone that we are here for the Actors Fund. So this pandemic now has been going on for some time. And one of the reasons I'm continuing to do this is to remind everyone that we still need to support the Actors Fund. In fact, the longer this goes on, ironically, the more people forget about these kinds of things. But the longer that this goes on, the more these artists need your help, especially now with that unemployment supplement having disappeared. So do your can to support the Actors Fund, and we will continue doing this all along the way. Don't forget, speaking of all along the way, we've like 70 episodes of this thing so far, whatever this thing may be. So go ahead and catch the replays. Go to my Facebook page or wherever you stream your content nowadays, which there are also like 472 ways to stream content now, and like 10 more new ones probably just popped up since I said that. So wherever you're streaming content, go check out all the replays, and you'll be reminded to support the Actors Fund on every single one. Okay, no more delay. Let's bring on today's guest. I'm so happy to have her here. Please welcome Lea.
Hi, Ken.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. I'm all right. That's
the big question, the big loaded question. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, you hanging in there?
I'm good. I'm happy. I've been very busy baking bread, like a lot of other friends of mine during this pandemic. Pretty much everywhere. I'm here in Manila, so I've been baking sourdough, I've been baking baguettes, I've been making flan for my mother, and the occasional souffle whenever anybody from my family has a hankering for that. So I've been busy baking, and it's been keeping me calm and creative and engaged and busy and focused on creating something good rather than, focusing on the pandemic too much.
Yeah. Were you a baker before? Had you ever
Not
baked
really,
anything?
no. I mean, I had baked before. I had baked as a kid, and I had baked as a younger adult. I made, I don't know how many pies. But I think because I have the actual time at home, I've been able to focus on, improving the quality of the bread I make. So it's been fun.
And I think you just highlighted something very interesting, because we're hearing this from all over, that one of the things that people are doing the most is bake bread specifically. Yeah. And I was like, why is this? And I think you just said it keeps you calm. There's a serenity to it. It's almost like a meditation.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. Kneading dough by hand, I think there's a cathartic component to that, because you have a whole lump of dough, and you have to sort of use your hands to shape it and to make it behave. And yeah, it's not something that you can just mix and then stick in the oven and voila, it's all done. This takes some discipline. This takes some time. It does take patience. So, I guess there are lessons to be learned from baking a loaf of bread.
A lot of life lessons in there, or
Yeah.
performing lessons. It's like a roll, like literally a roll, or
A roll, yes,
yeah. You got to knead it.
absolutely.
You got to shape it.
Yeah, you have to shape it, you have to work at it, and you don't become a good bread baker overnight. It takes a few, maybe more than just a few loaves before you get it just right. And one of my friends who also bakes bread said, you're good when the flour and when the dough stops sticking to your fingers. And I think I'm approaching that point, so I'm happy.
I think we just hit another exclusive here. The first time that acting and baking bread have ever been used as a metaphor. I love it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, I've been asking all my guests this. Where were you when the virus hit the fan? When news started to break and you were like, oh, this is different and this is going to change your life and the world?
I was in Manila first. I actually had a really bad bacterial infection that landed me in the hospital pre-COVID, thank goodness. So I stayed in the hospital for about 3 days while I was under observation. And on March the 1st, I was released. 1 week later, no, not 1 week later. A few days later, I headed to Dubai. I had concerts with my brother, who was my musical director. And already then we were starting to get a little paranoid. It was like we would bring out hand sanitizer already, make sure that our seats on the plane were, wiped down with alcohol and whatever else. We made sure that we always kept our hands clean, used elbows and, instead of using fingers to open things like doors. When we got to Dubai, like my manager would always have a spray bottle of sanitizer in his hand after I would say hi to somebody. He'd be like, give me your hands, give me your hands. And so I'd have to reach my hands out in his direction and he would spray, and we would like sanitize everything, wipe things down. And we're already pretty fastidious enough. We had to jack that up about 10%, if not more. We couldn't do any meet and greets because we just didn't want, we didn't want anybody to ever feel unsafe. And I think that was the first time we said, okay, we're not going to do any autographs. We're not going to do any meet and greets. We're not going to do any of that because there's this thing and it's happening. We got back to Manila on the 7th of March, and I had recording sessions in a studio for some content and whatever else. And then on the 12th or 13th of March, the announcements were coming out. The government was going to issue this thing called an ECQ, which is, I think, extended community quarantine. So basically everything was locked down from the 15th of March. So I've pretty much been holed up in my house since the 15th of March. I've not been out a whole lot, and that's by choice. Also, I'm just really, really happy to be home, that I really have no need to go out. Rob, my husband, is the one who goes out for groceries, and we have helpers here at home, and we send them out, of course, with full-on PPEs and masks and whatever, so that they're safe. And there's always a bottle of rubbing alcohol in the car, so that you always have access to, sanitizing your hands before you get out of the car, after you get back into the car. And it's just, the paranoia is real, but better to be safe than sorry. Yeah, I've just pretty much been holed up, and well, I guess I'm just one of those people that's pretty happy indoors and happy to be home. So I'm fine. I'm doing okay.
That's the strange blessing for you personally in this, because you're traveling all over the world in a normal year. So this is probably the longest you've ever been in one place ever.
Exactly. My daughter loves it that I'm home.
Oh, right.
It's like there's a lot of books to catch up on, which I haven't really touched very much. The video games have sort of also taken my attention. There's this brand new one that came out a few months ago, and it's breathtakingly, amazingly beautiful. It's a Final Fantasy VII remake.
So you're a gamer.
I'm a gamer. Yeah.
Do people know this, or is this another
I don't
exclusive?
think that it's not an exclusive. I think that there are enough people that know that I'm a gamer. But this is like a remake of a game that came out in 1996 or 97. And the Final Fantasy series has been one of my favorites since I jumped on it with Final Fantasy X. That's the first one I ever played. And then everything after that, I started playing. So now I'm on the remake of 7. Because 7 the story is pretty much the same, except technology has advanced so far that you look at the old one, you look at like this original Final Fantasy VII, and then you look at the new one, it's just worlds apart, even though they do converge at points and then they separate at points. The fight music is the same, except now it's fully orchestrated, and it blows my mind with how incredible it sounds. So I've been spending time on that, and then I get frustrated and I have to restrain myself from throwing the controller at the TV because it's so hard.
We're going to have to
difficult.
Introduce you to Jordan Fisher. I don't know if you.
Yeah, he's been to Once on This Island.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times. Yeah, he's come to the show at least three or 4 times.
He's a big gamer.
Yeah.
He's on Twitch. Are you on Twitch?
No, I'm not on Twitch.
You know how much?
I haven't gone that far.
Lea.
I'll have to explore it and see. But I don't know. I don't know if it's something that I want to share with other people, because I like the solitariness of just me in my den with my feet up and focused on the screen and trying to win a boss battle. I don't want to have to be thinking about a subscriber or whatever watching me do this. And I might make a weird face as I'm playing. So you know what? I'd rather not.
Hysterical. Although knowing you and how popular you are with your fans, they probably like, you don't have to say anything or do anything. We will just watch you play. We'll just watch you. It'd be the most boring, but yet the most interesting.
Nah, there are things that I'd like to just keep to myself. I think that's one of those things.
Smart. I just love this image of you being a gamer back in the early 90s, like backstage at the Broadway theater playing Kim in Saigon.
There was Mario going on back there. And it wasn't a private thing. I think it was at the sound board, like the backstage sound board. That's where it was. And you could switch kind of like 1 minute it would be showing like the levels of the actors' microphones and whatever. And then you could flip a switch and it's Mario. It's the original Super Mario Brothers game that would be playing. And I think stage manager told us to stop because we were making way too much noise. Because we were right by the orchestra pit. So it's like, and they took it away.
You'd like run Mario into a mushroom and he would die. And then you'd run on stage and sing, "I swear I'd give my life for you." Like,
well, not quite. There would be times when I could do it, but Act 1 is a beast. So not then.
I'm going to switch big time gears and talk a little bit about that, because you have such an incredible career. You started in this business at what age? Remind me.
I was 7.
You were 7.
I was only 7 years old. Yeah.
And you have done so many things, and we'll throw up a few photos now, right? So Miss Saigon, of course.
Yeah.
Allegiance, Les Mis, My Once on This Island, of course.
Yeah.
All this stuff. And what do you think the secret is to having, besides your incredible talent, what do you think the secret is to having such a long, diverse career, so many different roles, and still going absolutely strong and as popular as ever?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know what the secret to my longevity is. I think that I'd like to think that audiences can tell that I truly, truly enjoy what it is I do, and that it's very obvious, that it's very apparent when they come and see my performances, that I'm not phoning it in, that it's something that I have a passion for, something that I still nerd out about as far as vocal technique, that it's something that brings me great joy. I mean, it can be tiring and it can be difficult, but I love to perform. I like to pretend to be somebody different for a couple of hours. I mean, I've gotten to play Vietnamese prostitute, a street urchin in Paris, gotten to, and now like the last one on Broadway was a goddess. And then here in Manila, it was a diabolical pie maker. So it's just, I think it's that I clearly enjoy myself. So if I'm enjoying myself, I'd like to think that the audience enjoys the performances as well. So maybe that's it. If people can see that you're having a good time, then maybe that's it.
How do you approach these roles? Do you have a process for that you approach each role the same way every time, or is everyone different for you?
No, I can't say that I approach these roles the same because the demand can be very different. I mean, approaching Sondheim is different from approaching Boublil Schonberg and Ahrens and Flaherty. I try to get as much guidance and information as I can from the director of the show. That's usually where I get the biggest amount of help. I mean, I like being told what to do and which way to go. It helps. And to have gotten to work with some amazing directors has been a real blessing because they make me look good and they tell me what to do. And so it looks like I'm responsible for so much when in fact, people like Michael Arden will tell me, like we worked on Annie at the Hollywood Bowl after I left Island. And, he said one day after, I think the first couple of days of rehearsal, he's like, go home tonight, study this. I want you to come back with a dialect. I'm like, okay, what should I listen to in order to get this? And he's like, listen to or watch My Girl Friday. I think it was Rosalind Russell, I think, who starred in it? I can't remember. But he's like, that kind of cadence, that kind of delivery, that kind of patter, that speed, that's what I want from this character, from Grace Farrell. So I said, okay. So I went back to my hotel, grabbed myself some food and just watched this movie and tried to get as much of the dialect into my mouth as I could overnight. I came back the next day and it made such a difference. So I don't mind being told what to do as long as the person telling me what to do knows what I'm supposed to do. So I think it's wonderful that in the process of figuring out a character that the director really has a strong vision for it, and thus I'm able to help him or her make that real. And then I feel like, okay, like I feel like I have, wind beneath my wings or somebody to just push me forward. I should not be left to my own devices with creating a character. I do need help. And I've been really lucky to have gotten the kind of help that I've gotten.
It's incredible to hear someone like you, a star of your magnitude, to be able to say, like, I need help. Just sounds like such a way to approach.
Yeah. My approach is like, pull me, tell me what you want, and I will do it. There are actors, obviously, that will have their own processes and are perfectly fine left alone to figure their way around. But I do love it when a director just tells me point blank, this is what I want, this is what I need, please give that to me. Well, and then we figure it out together, and it's the way I like to work.
I'm sure that's one of the reasons you've been able to play so many different roles, from a diabolical pie maker to a god, all these things, because you allow genius directors like Michael to just, pull me in a new direction. Yeah.
And it's really enlightening when you allow for that part of the process to happen, because there are going to be things that they'll have figured out and thus will be like, okay, this is the direction I want you to go in. The director of Sweeney Todd, Bobby Garcia, when we did it over here, I was telling him already, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this well. I mean, this is a very different character. Wow. This is something that I don't know. It's one whole big I don't know. And he said, I have been studying this for months. I got you. Don't worry. So I stopped worrying and I let him help me. And there were things I figured out on my own, but there are things I had him really, kind of fling me around with. So it was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had as an actor, because, well, number one, that score is just ridiculously amazing and challenging and difficult, but it's so fulfilling to do. And I got to perform with some really good friends. And my brother was in the orchestra pit conducting the orchestra. So I just had the best time. And I just feel so lucky to have gotten to do that role with that director and with those co-stars and that orchestra. And yeah, and so the process was it was like Christmas every single day.
You've been performing since you were 7, and yet in that, when you were just talking, you said, I was worried. Do you get nervous and scared?
I do.
Really?
Yeah. Any performer that says that they don't is lying. There are always going to be butterflies in my stomach. My hands are always going to get cold and clammy before a performance. I'm always going to worry that I'm going to forget something, that I might forget a line, and I get really paranoid. So, for example, for Once on This Island, I would always run through Human Heart every single day before I would go on to sing it, just so that I knew that I had it. I would do Worst Pies in London every time I would, get ready to get out for Sweeney. I Dreamed a Dream. I would always have to run it in my head once or twice just to make sure I had it, because it makes me really nervous, because I know what it's like to not have it when you need to have it. And it's absolutely nerve-wracking. It's a terrible feeling to have. So to make sure that I don't get that feeling anymore, I have to run through everything. It might make me doubly nervous to do it, but it's necessary. It's part of my process when when I'm in a run of a show.
So what happens when inevitably, because everyone does it, you do screw up? Like what happens when you do?
You try to cover it up. I mean, sometimes it's like one word will be out of place, and then another actor on stage will look at me and I can see the eyebrows going up. And it'll just be something funny. Something funny is about to happen. As long as it doesn't happen during the big solo, then I'm good. What do I do though when it happens? It's like you shake it off and you move on. That's it. There's really nothing else you can do, because the show has to continue, and chances are the audience is not even going to know.
Any good specific stories from any of the mega shows you've done?
We've had helicopter mishaps in Miss Saigon, where the helicopter just did not appear. I mean, people are paying $100 to see this helicopter, and for it to be a no-show. I was wondering if there was anybody that went to the box office after the show demanding, "Yeah, I want my money back. There was no helicopter." I do wonder that now. I mean, I would do on stage wardrobe changes, and there would be a piece of clothing that wasn't there, and it's like specifically a pair of trousers. So I had no trousers for one costume change, and I was trying, and I'm singing, and I'm looking all over this box and trying to. I guess I'm just going to do this without pants.
Was that Saigon as well?
That was Saigon also. In Les
At least it's a musical comedy, so you can laugh during the middle of something.
There's nothing comedic about that, though. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Numerous flubs during On My Own, both in New York and in London. Thankfully, no mishaps during the anniversary performance at the Royal Albert Hall. Whatever mishaps there were, usually they're pretty minor. And because I am so paranoid now and crazy with regards to the big solos that I have to sing, I really have to, I review those to make sure that I don't make a mistake.
And I was one of those people that ran back to see Les Mis for the 142nd time just because you were in it, by the way. You were magnificent.
Oh, thank you.
Favorite Eponine by far. And What, as you think back, what's the greatest lesson you've learned throughout from the Miss Saigon days to now? What's the biggest
Ooh,
about the business, about performing?
yeah, I think about performing. I think I realized something. Um, I had done Miss Saigon when I was 18 until I was 19. And then on Broadway, I was 20. And then I left the show a month after I turned 21. And then I stayed away from the show, far, far away from it for 7 years. Then I went back. I went back when I was 27, turning 28. And the show just felt so much easier. I don't know why that was. I guess there was just so much pressure there. It just felt like there was such a weight on my shoulders when I was doing it. When I was opening both the London and the Broadway companies. And when I went back into the show as an older adult, it just didn't feel as if the weight was so heavy. I went back in and I felt so much joy coming back. It felt like I had a better handle on my voice, that I had better control, that it felt vocally easier to do. I was in better physical shape as well. Got to make some really good friends out of that company. And it just didn't feel like there was such a weight. So I could do it with this feeling of spiritual lightness, if you can call it that. So there was a huge difference from playing the role at 18 and playing the role at 28. It stops being that big of a deal. I guess when you're a teenager, there's so much that is such a big deal in one's life. And then as an adult, you realize, much ado over something that I didn't have to make much of an ado over. So it's an interesting thing to learn, that when you get older, there are things that become less crazy, I think. And yeah, as for the business, I think as I continue on in the business, it's always reminding oneself of one's worth. You have to know your worth. And it also helps to surround oneself with a team of managers, reps, even attorneys, family members, friends that also know what that worth is. And it's always a good thing to know your worth. And so you know, especially also in business handlings, you know what, you realize your worth, and you're okay to walk away from something if what you're being asked to do isn't worth it. I think hopefully I made sense. But yeah, that's something I think that you continue to learn as you keep going on in life.
Yeah, it's learning to say no.
Mm-hmm.
With someone inundated with things you can't say yes. So how do you come up with the algorithm, if you will, that helps you?
Right.
No, it doesn't fit.
I think you develop a kind of instinct to figure out who to say yes to and who to say no to. And a lot of the times it has nothing to do with, it's not about money. It's not about opportunity. I mean, I've had some great opportunities in my life that when something comes and falls in my lap and it doesn't feel quite right, then I just have to say, you know what? I have to give this a no. And I don't make a lot of these decisions by myself. I talk it out with my manager, who's fantastic. And we'll have a conversation and figure out, is this something that would be right for us to do? Is this something right for me to do, to spend time on? Like, for example, when Once on This Island came up, it was a really easy yes. I mean, I adore Michael Arden, and just how he asked me was really, really sweet. And what the show turned out to be, it was just so groundbreaking and so different. I knew I had to be part of it. I knew it was going to be extremely challenging and difficult, musically, environmentally. I mean, it's sad. It's sand, and that's not easy to walk on because there's nothing steady about walking on sand. If anybody's been to the beach, like the drier part, it's hard. So I was in a really, really good shape by the end of my run because it's so many muscles are engaged just walking on that. And it was such a wonderful experience to be a part of, and I got to make some great friends out of it. Most of us are still in touch with one another, which is really great. And we're all kind of keeping one another sane during this whole pandemic. Really, there were really, really great people that I got to work with. So that was a huge blessing. I really, really loved it.
Well, we're so thankful that you said yes to Michael. And when Michael was like, I'm going to call, I was like, yeah, because you can convince her to do it. I know. You can convince anybody to do anything, which is largely a great director's skill, frankly. Mm-hmm. And what you mentioned yourself as a younger person, your daughter, is she entering?
She's 14 years old, and she's already performed. She does concerts with me. And she was one of the kids in Matilda when they had a production here in Manila. So she got a taste of what it's like to be a musical theater performer, and she understands how hard it is, what kind of toil it is. And yeah, so I'm like, do you really want to do this now that you've had a taste of it? And I think this is something she wants to do. Oh, God help her. But yeah, I encourage her because I can see that she has a real passion for it and a real love for it. And yeah, and she loves to sing, and she's continuing to get better the older she gets.
Yeah, something tells me she's pretty good too.
She's pretty good. She's a good egg. She's a good human being, and we're trying to raise her to be kind and not to protect her too much from the world, but and to be responsible for the things that she has to be responsible for. And I try to tie it into doing theater and, even when it comes to her schoolwork. So yeah, I think this is something that she definitely would like to do.
Awesome. This has been a tough time for everyone, of course. Mm-hmm. What tips do you have for everyone out there? Just staying positive, staying creative. We talked about baking bread, but anything else you're doing to just make sure that you're staying up that you could share with everybody?
Let's see. I mean, some of my friends and we do an occasional game night. I have this thing by Jackbox Games, and the guy who played Pirelli actually in Sweeney Todd, as well as one of our ensemble girls, they introduced me to Jackbox Games, which is like a collection there's like 5 collections of different party games that people can do either at home or online and whatever. And so a bunch of us will get together and play one of these games. And it helps to make us laugh because it's like mind in gutter levels. And so it's something that we get together to do. Just number one, it's fun. It takes our mind off of what's happening in the world. It's a great way for us to connect. We get to have conversations, and then we then for about a couple of hours we focus on something away from real life for a bit. So I mean, any activity that people can do online where you get together with people that you love and have fun with, I mean, there are people that have figured out how to play mahjong online. I don't know how they do it, but they're doing it, and it's like, you know what? Okay. So however you can socialize and stay connected to other people, that's always a good idea, because I don't call this social distancing because I'm still social with people. So I'd much rather just be specific about it and say, yes, I'm physically distancing myself from everybody, but I'm not socially distancing myself from people.
Wow.
Yeah, there's terminology is important.
Yeah. You doing any streaming concerts? Are you jumping on this bandwagon since you're such a sought after concert performer?
I've done a couple for for fundraising here in Manila. And then a few private gigs here and there. I mean, corporate gigs still happen. And so I still get I still get inquiries. So I'm quite happy about that. Guest appearances and friends concerts. Yeah. So, but as far as solo performances, it's just been the two that I did here in Manila for, to raise funds for the pandemic, and nothing for revenue yet. Haven't figured that out.
Well, you let us know, because I'll be the first one to tune in for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. What time is it there now?
If it's 11:38 in New York,
Yeah.
It's 11:38 here in Manila.
Oh.
I'm 12 hours ahead of you. That's all.
Well, thank you for staying. Thank you for staying up so late for us.
Sure. This was my pleasure. No problem.
We'll see you soon. Take care. Stay safe. Enjoy
Bye.
Final Fantasy.
I will. Thank you.
Good luck. That was Lea Salonga, everybody. You can see why she's such a treat, so fun to be around. And yeah, what she talked about, just enjoying what she does. It's the first thing I noticed when I met her. And I've been a fan of her since I was her age, I think, when I saw her in Saigon and I was looking at that person on that stage. She's been such a role model to me on and off the stage. So thank you for being here for our first ever non-live live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. We will remind you, of course, about the Actors Fund. Don't hesitate to click that link, throw in whatever amount you can, and help us raise a few more bucks for the Actors Fund. Watch those replays. They are still going on. Next week on the live stream, I have no idea. I have no idea who it is, because we're recording this and I don't know when it's going to air exactly. So you're just going to have to look on the webpage or on Facebook, or it's there somewhere. You can find it. I promise you it's somebody good. It's somebody good. We do have something to make you smile, and we thought it would be very timely to go out with something from our guest, because frankly, she just makes me smile every time I see her, talk to her, listen to that unbelievable voice. So we're going to go out with Lea's The Human Heart from the production of Once on This Island that won the Tony Award. It's actually sitting in the back of the shot right now. Directed by the incredible Michael Arden. Here is Lea Salonga doing The Human Heart. Go to theproducersperspective.com/smile. Enjoy it. Get the cast recording. It's amazing. Spotify, all those things. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. We'll be alive.
Getting the band back together.